by we're only going to look at A, B, C. No, if there's something that you go through this stuff, it's something that anybody wants to talk about or look at, then we bring it out to the subsequent meeting. I mean, the thing is quite voluminous, but these are the existing rules, and if you don't mind, please familiarize yourself with them. And if there's something in there that where it can be improved, or you think this is good, bad, or ugly, please I want the committee to hear about it going forward. I guess we'll kind of skip down to 5 for a moment. The discussion of procedures to be followed by the board. The committee is advisory only. Any change has to go through the board, and depending on the type of change, it can be done at a board meeting. Some changes may entail 21-day notice and a public hearing, and this sort of thing. So whatever we come up with in whatever area, it will be in the form of like suggestions to the board, and then the board, I guess I can't speak for, I won't speak for them, can't speak for them. The board may or may not take it up. They may do everything, they may do nothing, but it'll be at board meetings open to the public. But what I perceive as our job is to come up with suggestions along those lines. Some of the suggestions in some areas, our district hydrologist, Dr. Bill, had sent several things he thought, and this was back in September. So
started in September and then rolled to November.
And then that we ought to look at, just glancing at them. Some things I don't think will be, particularly controversial or whatever. And obviously there are other things. I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I say something along the lines of the drought management plan, that there may be differing viewpoints. They may be quite different. The way I envision our proposals or our recommendations to the board would be, I would hope that we can come up with a consensus on something, particularly on the drought thing. I think it would carry a lot more weight with the board if and I hate to keep phrasing it like there's sides to everything, but frankly, I suspect there are. Hopefully there's not. But if there are, if there's some give and take on this, and the committee as a whole can agree on something, I think it would carry more weight with the board than not. But having said that, I don't want anybody to be left out. I used the analogy a minute ago. I view it kind of like a Supreme Court case. There can be multiple opinions. And in that case, there'd be multiple proposals. And again, my attitude is all of that will be presented to the board, and the board can choose one and not another. It can pick and choose. It can take some aspects of the person A's suggestion and aspects of B, and cobble together something out of all of it. But particularly on the drought thing, I would ask and hope that we can work together and come up with something that's amenable to all of us, because I think that would carry more weight with the board. Anybody have any questions about it?
Can we get a copy of is the drought management plan on the website? Or can we get a copy of the existing?
I don't think there is one currently. That's what I was led to believe.
No, there is not.
There's not one.
No drought management.
There's no drought.
One. I think that what you're planning on doing is creating a drought management plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Part of what this committee
That's part of our
and Vic, that's a good point. Before we get going, let's go around the table just a minute. I haven't met a lot of you, and just say a word, but let me start with Vic. Vic he's here in the capacity of, I guess, what you call moderator. He's kind of to keep us, out of the ditches. He's not a lawyer, but he has worlds of experience, with districts. Your current position
I'm the general manager and a board member of the Valley District.
so he doesn't have a dog in the Kinney County hunt, but he has years of experience and he can kind of tell us, well, you can do this or you can't do that, or may I suggest this, that, or the other. But I've encouraged him to interrupt any and all of us anytime he wants to step in, so we don't get too far afield on something that we may not be able to do or to affect. Is that
Sure.
big? But let's just start with just an introduction.
My name is Brad Whitaker. I live in Spofford, and I manage a ranch just outside of Spofford.
What ranch?
It's the W7 Frontier.
My wife went to school with the guy down there, the Smythe, and it's Brian Smythe. It looks like Smith, but it's spelled with a Y. He keeps saying it's in Spofford. I've never been there, but I've been to Spofford, but I haven't been to his ranch. So I don't know where it is, but I didn't know whether that was a neighbor or not.
I don't know him.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming down.
Nick Hildebrand, I'm the general manager and board member of the Valley Board. I've been on the board since '94. I've been a general manager since '97.
I'm David Connolly, and I own some land in the county.
David Palmer, live on the fort, representing the fort of Mississippi. We have a board member that won't be here, so I'm helping out, represent the fort, I guess.
Terry Marsh, I also live on the fort. I'm concerned about our groundwater and our surface water, and I've been attending the board meetings now for about a year and a half. And working on grasping this very complex information, which is a challenge that I actually enjoy. So, hoping to be a part of coming up with rule amendments, like you said, that can be embraced by the whole community and affect change that will help all of us. So.
I don't know who was interrupting me. I apologize.
It's okay.
I don't know whether that's part of the technology.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a retired teacher. I'm used to talking over all kinds of side talk. It just doesn't face me.
I'm Charlie Gaines. Have a ranch, north of Brackett, about 10 miles. Bought it in '07, and I split time between this ranch. In the drought of 2011, my wife got tired of not having water, and so we bought a place, and it's interesting. It's 10 times smaller, but it runs the same number of cattle because they get, their average over there is 50 inches a year. But anyway, so I split time between the two ranches, but Kinney County is my legal residence.
Hi, I'm Gage Brown, fifth generation ranching family here in Kinney County. My sister runs the ranch now. It's right in between Brackett and Uvalde, going out about 30 miles. But she raises cattle there, and then I also am involved in the Los Moras Springs Conservation Association, which got started, I think, in 2022. But yes, been attending groundwater meetings for the past couple of years, and just really interested in this. I think everyone around Texas and the U.S. is talking about water, so appreciate being close to the issue and seeing so many people who are coming together to work on it and work something out.
I'm Nora Rivas. I'm the city administrator for the city of Brackettville. I've worked for the city for 13 years. I was raised in Brackettville, so this is my home. I have 3 children that were also raised here, so there's a big love for Brackettville. Been the administrator for the past 7 years.
My name is Eric Martinez. I'm originally from Brackettville. I've been the mayor for the city of Brackettville since 2020, and we're getting along very well.
I'm Janelle Hobbs, the general manager of the Kinney County Groundwater District. I've been employed here about 10.5 years. Prior to that, I was at Fort Clark for about 31.5 years. While I was raised here, I've been in Kinney County for 53 years, so I feel like I'm a full-time resident. Finally.
Thank you all. Gabe brought up fifth generation.
These two.
Oh, we didn't go all around there. Oh, okay.
Jason Long, treasurer of Fort Park Springs.
Jason York with the York Branch here in Brackettville.
What direction from down?
One west of town, one right outside south, and one in the Moras property.
York Branch. York. Eric, you're not on our list. Here, we need to add you on our list, I think. This member list that we got here.
Who's that?
Eric.
I'm not listed, but I can be. I could be an alternate for our city administrator. Since I go to
well, no,
meetings.
you're welcome. I mean, we have north from the city, but if in all seriousness, if you want to be part of this, we're in.
Yeah, we usually like to have 2 people present for meetings, so that way we always stay in the loop of what's happening, rather than if somebody just alternates, and then at that point it's kind of hard to like follow what's going on. So that's what we like to do. But yeah, if you want to add me to
No, please. But, if you don't mind, I sent out just a text about the meeting and stuff. So if you don't mind people having your phone number where we could text you, then
it's not after 10.
Yeah, I promise I won't call about the garbage or anything like that. Gabe said something about fifth generation. The first games got to Texas, near as we can tell, in 1799. There was a Gaines that signed the Texas Declaration. I think we've been out of water for many generations. No, thank you all. But in terms of, like I said, I don't want anybody or anything to be left out on this. I feel like, well, gosh, there's, 2 representatives from the city, and I'm only one rancher or farmer or something. No, we will present anything and everything to the board for their perusal. Is that good enough legal word? In terms of going back to agenda and proposals, Dr. Bill had some that I've not been able to reach him to clarify a couple of them. He mentioned, one rule by number, and I've read that thing 3 times, and it doesn't seem to be pertaining to what he talked about. But some of these are fairly straightforward. And he also talked in his letter about the next joint planning session being in 2026 to be, his implication to be presented to the board in 2027. I want to, reassure everyone here that we're going to move a lot faster than that. I would hope that this committee will have something to bring before the board as early as April. The way I look at it, we can either agree or agree to disagree by then, and meeting for another 2 or 3 months or a year isn't going to solve anything if that's the case. And so, certainly, April or later in May, I would hope that we'd have kind of a list of proposals for the board. The things that Dr. Bill wanted us to eventually talk about would, apparently, and I don't know whether it's based on his opinion or court cases or what, but he wanted to shift to a well threshold in GMA 7 instead of spring flow. I'm going to have to get clarification from him. So go ahead.
The other question you had where he was talking about the 24 and all that, those are GMAs, which is, we're in GMA 10 and GMA 7 in this county. I've got GMA 13, GMA 10, and GMA 7. Dr. Bill is the hydrologist that we hired for 7. He's also the hydrologist we hired for 13 to, well, let me explain what GMA is. It's groundwater management area, and what they're referring to as groundwater management area is multiple counties that are working along the same plane. So GMA 7 is over the Edwards Trinity Aquifer, and it's, what is it, 22 of us? There's a bunch of them. We meet in Sonora.
Parts of 22 counties. All
Yeah.
are part of 22 counties.
Yeah, we meet in Sonora. GMA 10 is the Edwards Aquifer and associated aquifers. So in Uvalde, I have to worry about the Leona Gravel, the Buda, and the Austin Chalk, and because the Edwards is in Uvalde, his jurisdiction is San Antonio's and not ours. Here y'all have jurisdiction over the Edwards, but that's what he's talking about is in the GMAs. And like I say, it's multi-county deals. So I think that's what he was referring to in your first question when he was talking about that long-term deal. Because the GMAs have to come up with a plan that they give. Well, in this case, y'all give it to Region J. In Uvalde's case, we give it to Region L. And then Region L says, okay, well, San Antonio needs some more water, and we can get it from Uvalde and Carrizo, or Dimmitt County, because they've got a little extra. We've done the plotting or whatever. That's what the GMA basis is they come up with a number. The water districts come up with a number they're comfortable with, and they pass that number, and they pass that number along to the regional group, which is a bigger area. And it may not be kind, but I refer to it as the larger cities being able to figure out who they're going to go steal from. I mean, that's the way I figure it. Now, they might not like that, but that's the way I got it figured. So that's what he was talking about the GMAs. Is we're in GMA 7, which is the Edwards Trinity, and his job there is to calculate how much available water is in the Edwards Trinity for Kinney County and for Uvalde County, for part of Uvalde County, for Valverde County doesn't have a water district, so they don't have a representative at the GMA meeting, which that's their fault, not ours. And so, anyway, I didn't want to interrupt, but I thought
No, please. Every time, interrupt every time.
Can I ask a question on that topic? So our representatives, last I knew, were Tully Sheehan and I think Wes Robinson. Is that still true for the representatives?
I'm sorry, I can hear you.
I think, I don't know if Janelle can answer.
He represents Ag. Tully Sheehan is also a member on the GMA, on the Region J, and he is industrial, I think is what his title is.
And those are all of our representatives?
And then I'm a representative. I represent our district, and then I'm also the liaison between GMA 10 and GMA 7.
Okay, thank you.
The GMAs, the automatically the president of the board is the GMA representative, but the president can delegate whoever he wants to. In Uvalde's case, in most cases, the president says, "Who's getting paid around here? General manager, goodbye. You're it." And so that's how the general manager gets appointed to them. I don't think any of them that we go to, with the exception of Real Edwards, the president shows up at them. The Tudor Waits is the president of Real Edwards.
Yeah, and he comes sometimes.
And he comes to 7 pretty regular.
Yeah.
Their general manager comes, but he comes to 7 pretty regular.
Yeah.
Are there
But he's
documents
not the rest.
that have been produced by the GMA 7 that relate to us?
Yes, sir. They're working on the new plan. The planning cycles are 5 years, and so every 5 years we have so long to come up with a planning cycle, to come up with a plan. The GMA has so long to come up with a plan. We've just started this cycle, so we have 2 years or whatever.
But they have a plan already in place from
Yes,
last.
they have the last cycle done, and I'm sure Janelle's got a copy of it or someplace.
Can we get a copy for the committee?
I can get you one.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it.
And I believe they also record their meetings starting.
Yeah, the Water Development Board sits in on them and gives us advice or whatever. And like I said, we hire a hydrologist. We've hired Hutchinson for 7 this time. We've hired him in the past for 7. 13 didn't hire him last time, and we regretted it, so we hired him again this time. but that's kind of the GMA process
Yeah.
that he's referring to in there.
Yeah.
And that's some
And the
representation.
GMA 10 has a
Yeah, we have
consultant or
Collier and Collier
higher. Yeah.
is doing GMA 10.
But in terms of what this committee is looking at, I mean, we come up with independently.
Yes, sir.
We don't have to run it by.
No, you don't have to. And see, that's the GMA thing is, Hutchinson will come up with a number and say, I think there's this much water in Kinney County, available in Kinney County. And then, Kinney County has the right to reject that or accept that proposal or whatever. And then that goes into the overall soup pot for Kinney County had this much water in GMA 7. GMA 7 had this much water overall. That much water is going to be divided between J, L, and I don't know what the other regions are west of that, northwest of that, but those regions will all get a copy of it. The trick to it is the regions cannot do anything that the GMAs don't want them to do. That's the good part of it is the GMAs get to say what their own destiny is in these things. And so as far as what you're working on, the GMA really has no effect to it other than he can tell you kind of what I understand you want to do is a drought management plan. So basically he has the GMA, they think the GMA thinks that you have this much groundwater available to your county or to your area. And so he can give you a number to work with. But as far as y'all are concerned, or as far as I would be concerned in the valley, I would look at monitoring wells and rainfall and things like that, it's kind of like, I think I'm going to have a headache, so I'm taking the aspirin now. To be crude about it, I've known people that when they went out on a bender, they took an aspirin when they went home, so they knew they wouldn't wake up sick in the morning, So that's basically what a drought management plan is you're trying to figure out how to control the hurt so it's not going to be as bad as it possibly could. Like you said, so you won't run out of water. You want to be cutting back all the time so you won't run out of water.
Right.
Nick, I have a question. Y'all, Uvalde County, you have to cut back in accordance with EAA.
On the Edwards part of it, we do.
On the Edwards part, yeah.
See, now, and the problem with the numbers on the EAA's numbers, and I didn't get to set them, but when the Edwards gets to a certain level where we're having to cut back, the Leona gravel's been dry for months.
Yeah.
The Buda is fixing to go dry, and the Austin Chalk is probably at the verge of it, So in those particular cases, like in GMA 10, the hydrologist was asking me the other day, and I said, we're managing what we have, which is nothing. We don't have any say so in it because technically it's being pumped out to the east of us, and we don't get any say so in that. You know, that's just the way it happens to work out.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
Pardon me while I throw up.
Yeah. Well, the rest of them we have a certain amount of say so. Well, technically, we have very little say so. It's kind of like I tell people. It's like being a smaller child in an older family. You're going to inherit your brother's clothes. You better hope you took good care of them because you're going to get them. So basically in Uvalde, a lot of the recharge is coming down the Nueces River and the Frio River. So whatever they do in Lakey is what we're going to get. Lakey and Edwards and Real County or Rock Springs are controlling what we're going to get. If they pump all the water out of the river, then we're not going to get much recharge. And then same thing goes into Carrizo down south of us. What we do in Uvalde County is what happens to Zavala County. That's what they're going to end up with. So like I say, it's the older brother. Depending on how he takes care of your clothes, that's what you're going to get.
Can I raise a point that might be too nitty gritty, but I think you might be familiar with this study that shows Kinney County has a separate pool, which isn't completely separate. It's with hydrology, it's always connected somewhat, but our hydrology, I think study is from 2011, Ron Green, but that especially when the water table is low, we don't get much overflow to the east.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to Uvalde, so we're fortunate.
Yeah, you're cut off more than we are. We've got a little bit of a cutoff between us and San Antonio, but, and basically, it is, the Edwards is located here to the east of Valverde County too. So they're basically all connected, but you're separated a little more. That's part of the reason you're not in the Edwards Aquifer Authority zone too.
Anybody else? Dr. Bill also wants us to look at revising the permitting process. This one should not be that controversial. He says that, eliminate the requirement for testing. He wants to, and this is for the permits, not the exempt stuff. He suggests splitting it between large and small. His suggestion is perhaps 100 acre feet a year. Anything below that, it's his opinion that it have minimal effect on spring flow or anything else. And then above 100, the permittee needs to demonstrate what the effect on the spring, will be, what the impact will be. So this would be for new permits. Anyway, so that's one rule he suggested we look into. Another one that should not be that controversial. He wants monthly pumping reports using the app. Marty is our new district employee, and she's going to bear the burden of this. His suggestion is to split things into high, medium, and low priority or spring impact. He thinks that the ones that, and I'm guessing he would be the one to help us with the classification, but the ones that are high priority, ought to be audited monthly. That they're supposed to, he wants a monthly reporting using the app, and then that should be transferred to the website. But he also wants Marty to this is the old Ronald Reagan thing, trust but verify. The ones that are high priority, look at them monthly. The ones that are medium priority, maybe every other month, and the rest of them, twice a year. And I mentioned, he wants all this, uploaded to the website. So I think that rule, hopefully, we can come together on that. The fourth thing, of course, is the drought thing. He has just, he discussed what should trigger, talking about the discussion about, what triggers. And he goes, frankly, he lost me on some of this.
What would trigger the drought management plan to go into effect?
Right. And, I spent the last couple of days talking to water lawyers. One was our district own Greg Ellis, but he's been quite ill. He's been taking chemo and radiation and difficulty talking. And so I went and, in essence, hired a lawyer on my own, paid for it out of my pocket, to educate me on water law. It's a brand new area to me, and it's certainly been interesting listening to the I don't know. The bottom line on water law is a lot of it has not been litigated as yet, and so there are opinions on both sides, but it hasn't gone to court. They told me that some things within the law in Section 36 are somewhat contradictory. So it'll be up to a court someday to sort things out. But both Greg and this other big name lawyer that I talked to, talking about how the Supreme Court of Texas apparently has ruled that spring flow is not protected currently under Texas law, which just kind of shocked me, frankly.
You said who ruled it out?
Pardon me?
Where did that ruling come from?
Texas Supreme Court.
Okay.
And, you know, the highest court in the land.
You know when I was,
Sir.
when did they rule that?
I didn't write it down. But both Greg and this other lawyer mentioned. I mean, I was surprised.
But they also ruled groundwater districts have the supreme authority, governing authority. Is that correct?
Supreme is too strong a word, but you know, groundwater districts are the preferred method for water conservation in Texas. Yes. It was also interesting to me. They said that the word drought is only mentioned 3 times in the whole statute, but you know, conservation is the way to approach it. So when we come up with our recommendations on the drought management plan, I mean, you know, conservation is. Then they also talked about, you know, the timing of it. You know, when do you kick it in? This is something for everybody to consider when we come up with this. You know, say if I'm a farmer and I've planted and spent all the money on chemicals and seed and stuff, and say I'm growing corn, and it needs a lot of water maybe in May, and they're going to harvest the crop in June or July, then, you know, we can't, I guess we could, but you know, be subject to a takings lawsuit, come in May and say, no, you can't water anymore, or reduce it to the point. So the key, you know, the lawyer thought was, you know, the time frame, planning ahead. I mean, it kind of means we're always, you know, reacting instead of acting. But it's something to consider when we start coming up with this. Yes.
Just a quick question. So the first thing you said that Dr. Bill recommended was to shift to a well threshold instead of spring flow. Is that because of this Texas Supreme Court ruling that spring flow is not?
He did not. He didn't. I haven't got to speak to him personally.
I just wondered.
That reading between the lines, that might be, but because the lawyers brought it up. But I don't know. I can't speak for Dr. Bill.
And we can decide what we want, what we think is best, I think. We
Well,
don't necessarily need to do what he said on something like that.
And that's another good point. I mean, whatever we come up with, every recommendation we make is going to go, you know, it's going to be run by Dr. Bill and our lawyer. And then the lawyer will put it in the, you know, if the board decides to go along with it, then the lawyer will put it in the proper format to be adopted by the board. So, you know, that's why I didn't want this committee to get too much into the technicalities of Section 36, you know, 113C7 or things. You know, get, you know, broad guidelines that hopefully we can agree on, and then let Dr. Bill and you know, the hydrologist and the lawyer hammer out how to put it in legal language. And once they do, of course, then there'll still be you know, public meetings or, you know, board meetings, you know, where the stuff will be publicized and the public can comment on it, you know, before it's ever enacted.
Charlie, would you mind getting the citation on that Supreme Court case? That's pretty important on this.
On the groundwater thing?
The spring.
Greg did not give it to me.
Well,
nor did the other guy.
If you feel like you can get it, I'll look for it.
Yeah, and I apologize on that. I think I was a little bit shocked, you know, hearing that.
That's pretty important.
Yeah. The only specific case where I wrote down a name, just because they mentioned it 2 or 3 times, was it the Daniel? It's either Daniel or Daniels.
Daniels. Ellen, Greg, I don't know because he was the general manager of Edwards when it happened. It's Edward Rockford against Daniels McDay case.
I don't know the detail, but
That's
I don't.
The
They didn't mention that one in conjunction, with the spring flow thing. I don't think the Daniel case was what they were talking about there.
I don't think it was with the spring flow, but that was a major case where the groundwater districts the Edwards Aquifer got set back on their heels. It went on for a long time, several years, but they finally ruled in Daniel McDay's favor.
Which was what was that?
The Edwards Aquifer versus.
The issue was what?
The Edwards divided it up, and they gave everybody 2 acre feet per irrigated acre that they used during the historic period, which was 73 to 90, 72, 71 to 93. Anyway, Daniel McDay's deal was they had pumped their water. They had a well that was like a lot of wells. It was real weak, so they pumped it into a reservoir, and then they used the reservoir to irrigate the fields. Well, the Edwards said, your well didn't produce that much water. You're only going to get a fourth of what you wanted. And they said, no, we irrigated all the fields. Everybody else got treated that way. We want to be treated the same way. And the Edwards took it on themselves to say that wasn't going to happen, and they sued, and they won. Basically, in our district, we stay at a court by treating everybody the same. The Edwards didn't think they ought to do that, so they ended up losing.
And that brings up another point that one of the lawyers brought up. In this drought management plan, Kinney County has, and Dr. Bill talked about it, different areas, some areas affect the spring, some don't. The lawyer pointed out that the DFC, the environment, sorry, I haven't even had a drink yet. The desired future conditions, the rules, whatnot. You can do this by area. You don't have to do it by the whole district. In other words, based on what the hydrologist said, what's connected and what's not. I know I've only been on the board a year, but at times it's come up that certain areas of this county don't affect the spring flow, for instance.
Well, you have management zones in your rules, and so it kind of fall up under that, under your management zone.
And so, in other words, our drought management plan we don't have to treat everybody equally.
No, just the zones.
Within the zone you do,
yeah.
maybe, but we can treat zones different. So that's another thing to consider, when you're, thinking about this, coming up with suggestions for a management plan. Let's see, what else? I guess really, that was kind of my plan for tonight. I wanted everybody to meet one another, get a copy of the rules, kind of lay out an agenda. We want to set a time for next meeting. Our next board meeting is Valentine's.
Not busy.
Huh?
Not busy.
Are you bragging or complaining?
Bragging.
Oh, okay. We'll be sure to bring a rose to the meeting for you. But or Tuesday is Tuesday night. Is that okay?
That's fine with me, yeah.
What I would suggest, since we have some homework, those that want to go through the rules and think about what we've said tonight, and yes, sir.
We're gonna have on
Regular
Tuesday.
council meeting.
On
On the 13th, we have our regular council meeting.
And that runs from when to when?
We normally start at 6, but it's every second Tuesday after the first Monday that we have our meetings. So for February, it's the 13th.
What's that in English?
It's our regular council meeting.
Yes. It does sound, the first Tuesday after the second
Second
Wednesday,
Monday.
and just
Yes.
give me the date.
It changes every month, that's why.
Okay.
But this, for February, it'll be the 13th. So
Okay.
we wouldn't be able to attend the committee meeting
Alright.
on the 13th.
What about
February.
Vic, what about the Monday?
You thinking we meet every week?
No, not at all. I would like to meet, at least one. I'd like to meet just before the regular meeting, and then one in between. So 2 meetings a month. If unless people have different opinions.
Sounds logical to me.
So if Tuesday's out, what about that Monday, what would that be, the 12th?
We normally have the association meetings the Monday before Groundwater District meetings at 6 p.m. But if we did maybe something like 5 p.m. for this rules committee,
6 maybe.
we're adjourned by 6. That should work.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is that okay?
Would an hour be sufficient time?
Right.
I would think, you think an hour would be sufficient time for our,
For this,
you mean your meeting?
No, I'm assuming this would be an hour too. But you bring up a good point. I don't
Yeah,
want to limit us.
yeah, it might go longer.
oh, I would think so, henceforth, yeah.
So we're talking about not next week, but the following week.
Right, be Monday,
And what day?
Monday the 12th,
The 12th.
at least, the city could be here.
And the board meets on that Thursday,
Wednesday,
on Wednesday.
they meet on Wednesday
So
the
we want
14th.
to meet before that meeting.
Yes, yes.
Is it gonna be ready?
Monday or Tuesday.
What if we did? Because people probably, I don't know, if people aren't available until 5 on a Monday.
I mean, I'm guessing, work, even those of us out on ranches, daylight, get something done.
What if we did 5 to 7 for the committee meeting, and then maybe we can, because that's how our meetings have been for.
Five is fine with me. You're talking about on that Monday?
Yes.
Is 5 o'clock on Monday the 12th?
Okay.
Okay, well, let's do that. I will, I think, Eric, yours is the only phone I don't have, I'll get that, so I'll
Yes.
text it out, certainly.
Yeah, I want to just give it to.
But what I would like to happen, the stuff we discussed, the things that I'm hoping will be non-controversial, we can kind of start putting them in a format as a suggestion for rule change. The monitoring, where's Dr. Bill's stuff? The monitoring pump, the permitting process, the pump reports, and then we can get down to the what I would refer to as the nitty gritty of the drought plan, the contingency plan for that.
I think the issue on not using spring flow may be controversial.
Oh, it will be, but it's what I need to find out is why he said that. He touched on it.
That's okay. That's okay. What about minutes and kind of getting a review of our meeting? Is
I think at the November meeting, Dr. Bill said that.
The way he phrased it in his letter,
how many minutes of our meeting that we can kind of share with each other so we all are on the same page?
talk about the key component, being with quote without unduly increasing the frequency of the natural cycles of springs and intermittent springs going dry, as described in his slide number 39. Las Moras has been dry or nearly dry many times from 64 to present. The recent lack of spring flow in the summers of 22 and 23 are not particularly unusual in the context of low rainfall since 2019. Increased desertification. Say that right? Probably easier in Spanish. Tell them, I can't do this. Anyway, the whole area, over time has been getting dry. That dry line is moving east across Texas. We're talking, when I say over time, I'm talking about over hundreds of years. He still contends the main factor is low rainfall the last several years. Drought triggers and thresholds can be established using historical data. But it's difficult to establish due to complexities associated with setting the baselines. In other words, it tells us nothing. I'll need to get kind of clarification from him on that. But he, sir.
Yeah, just, is there any way we can get a copy of those notes?
Talking about it's the September letter to,
No,
I don't know if it is or not, but, we can certainly can put it there.
sir.
Put that on the website or
Yes, everything that Dr. Bill, I don't know if that is or not, but I think everything he's done, the studies and everything is pretty much all on the. On their
but
website.
yes, to answer your question.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll meet again on, Monday, the 12th. And at that time, we can kind of look at our calendars and come up with something between then and the kind of March meeting. But, what? Sorry.
That was me sending you Eric's number.
She disturbed us.
Sorry.
Didn't know you know all these.
Yes, sir.
But,
Can I ask a question?
certainly.
Okay, so, because this might impact other people, I wanted to sort of prepare myself with this, so I've spent some time going over the rules already a couple of times and wrote down notes, and a lot of what my notes are questions that I have where I need clarification to understand. So, who would I refer those questions to? Or how would I get those questions answered? Because I don't want to waste our committee time just with me trying
Janelle, is that
to
something that
understand the current rules.
She can come by. She said she's been through the rules and had kind of a list of questions. She didn't want to take the committee's time up on. Can she come by the office sometime and
If we don't know the answer, we'll do our best to find it.
Okay, yeah, and I just, because I thought that it might impact other people too. I don't know, maybe you guys are all super well versed in this, but
No,
I went
no,
through
we're
it
not.
and had lots of questions.
and what you might do is if you think any of it's important, you have the list of everybody. Text it.
Okay.
Or email.
Well, we don't have everybody's email on this thing yet.
Do we want to, yes, I like that. That might be a, yes, you know, if we end up sharing documents, having everyone's email.
Okay, next to the sign-in sheet.
I would just say that.
It would be nice to have everybody's email though, because it's a better way to keep track of things.
Okay. Well,
Do you know where the sign-in sheet's at?
let's before we leave, let's maybe on the sign-in sheet. I don't know if everybody signed in, but maybe put the email out to one side before you leave, and then
Thank you.
if Janelle, if you would, please, email to all of us, the list of emails. And but thank you. Any questions? Anything? I mean, there's no set pattern to this. I mean, I am absolutely open to suggestions. Or
Quick question, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
Has this happened before? I don't know about historical, past of the water board. Has there been a similar committee formed before, like have formed now, or is this the first time this has happened?
I've only been around it a year, and it hadn't happened.
I don't know.
in that
Janelle,
year.
have they tried to do this before?
I know a couple of times since I've been here when something would come up and something would need to be adjusted in the rules. We had a rules committee.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Any lessons
But it
learned
was just
from
like
before, like how to go before, or any
it happened to be something that was pretty much cut and dry.
like a
It
one item,
wasn't-
one off thing,
Yeah.
not like a whole rules
Wasn't
review or
anything that
whatever.
would be,
Okay.
as Mr. Connolly said, controversial or whatever.
Yeah, I just wondered if this has
No.
been something that happened, 5 years ago, and it worked for 3 months, and then it was, well, no, we're not doing it. Or
Not
if
in
it's
the
kind of a
length-
recurring
not-
thing, or
Not in the length of time I've been here. No.
so it's new territory.
Would it be possible
Mostly.
for us to get a copy of the management plan that we have sent to the?
Is that on the website?
It's on the website, but
It's on the website.
I have.
Okay. Forget that.
I thought I saw it there. But anybody else? Thank you.
We have a goal for we're gonna try to finish this in 3 months or.
Well, that's what I talked about before. I would like to maybe have something to present by the April meeting, May at the latest. Would be my personal preference. Hypothetically, when we meet on Monday the 12th of February, if we're all in a good mood and agree to everything, we'll present it then. But I think it'll take longer than that. But I have no intention of dragging this out. I mean, people waited a long time for this to happen, and so good, bad, or indifferent, we're gonna make something happen.
Charlie, thank you for the effort that you have made to put this
I
together.
mean,
We really
that-
appreciate your leadership.
that you're being very kind, but that's, you know, Janelle and Bonnie are the ones that carry the load around here.
They're amazing too. Y'all are amazing as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, yeah.